What up, guys? Jeff and Taylor here. Another weekly fishing report. Same story as last week, I think, for the most part. Well, the same report for the most part. I say what the quarry, targeted quarry, which is bluefin.
Yeah,
lots of them around.
Hard not to talk about the
right.
bluefin. I mean, that's the main thing going on right now. Yeah, it was just a crazy week. I know you had an awesome week.
Yeah, I fished almost every day, and it was I fished anywhere from the 12 fathom lump to the jack spot. I caught fish at the 12. I caught fish at the Twin Rex, the Great Eastern Reef, the jack spot, outside the jack spot. So they're all around. They're not just on the jack spot. It was a nightmare at the jack spot this week.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, I was hearing there was a ton of boats out. Yeah. Was it Thursday and then Sunday were the main two, where it was like
the Bill Dance
days everywhere.
Yeah. Call them the Bill Dance days. The chop wasn't keeping them away that day because it was not very rough. But anyways, it was good fishing out there. There are a lot of fish, but there's a lot of fish on that whole line, that whole 20 line. I mean, I've gone as far north as like the entrance to the shipping channel, and I've marked fish the entire way down that 20 line to the jack spot. So go out, look. We were just talking before this. We're trying to figure out a way. Maybe you guys can help us, but like show Navionics, or there's a good bathymetry chart or like an ocean chart that shows the inshore contour, not so much the spots, but the contour. That's what I like to do. That's what him and I do every trip. Like, we like to look at the contour, the bottoms, and find some.
I mean, your Navionics is great.
That's the best tool, but
if you have Navionics, use that.
Yeah, it's hard to show you guys like how I do it on Navionics because it's very small, and fingers.
Yeah, we're gonna work on that for a future video for sure. Because I was just thinking about it, I can probably just download Navionics on my iPad, and then
that'd be a great.
Maybe screen record the iPad.
The iPad would be way better than our iPhones.
But either way, it's using your tools is the point. If you have Navionics or even some of the Simrad, Jarman, some of the newer electronics, you can get those.
Navionic chip,
or the Navionic chip with Garmin.
Yeah,
and
mine, unfortunately, my one boat has it, but the Sea Hunter doesn't have it in it. But either way, the fishing was awesome this week for me. There was one day that I got skunked this week. It was a tough trip. I was expecting to hook up, but it just never happened.
And that's part of fishing for those things. Or even so, like Tuesday, you had a limit with the Tylers and Seth of 2 unders and over. Yeah. But then Wednesday, with Nick, that was his trip, right? And there's just 1 under.
One bite. Yeah.
And then go back to Thursday, an over and an under, 2 fish. And then Friday came the skunk.
Yeah.
And then back out Sunday and 2 more.
Right.
So it's kind of, consistent yet inconsistent. And it's just, they call them ghosts.
I would say the biggest thing with this is my advice to anybody trying to do this is slow your boats. I saw tons of boats out there this weekend going way too fast. And don't put your stuff out. When we say way back, we don't mean 600, 500 yards. Like 200 is plenty. If you got a line counter, great. If you don't, if you have a top shot or a backing, or if you don't have that, then it's a little bit harder. But the way I do it is I got a 200-yard top shot, so I know exactly how much line I got out. But that's my biggest advice for people is and don't follow boats. Don't go to the jack spot where 100 other boats are. Look at a lump around the jack spot, and maybe find another area you can work by yourself. Your odds just go up tremendously. When you're competing with no boats versus 100, your odds of catching a fish go way up. This is a game we love. So, I mean, you got to kind of play it here.
You definitely got to put in your time. I can't tell you how many people have messaged me like, man, I've been 5 or 6 trips and I haven't caught one yet. And I think people, forget or don't realize, they're coming down once a week. And yeah, they may have done it 5 weeks in a row, but you're out there 4 or 5 days in a week in a row, like trying to stay on these fish, trying to dial in the bite.
And I live, eat, and breathe this stuff. Like, people have other lives. I don't. This is my life.
It's a matter of putting in that time, though. We're just able to put in a little more time than the average Joe. Right. But, everyone, they're out there. And people are catching them. We're not the only ones catching them. There's a lot of people catching them. The Shad Darts crew, they had a nice over the other day. And then again yesterday, they got some unders. I think they got their limit on unders. And then Remo. There's a bunch of people out
yeah.
there catching them. Charlie's Plunder,
Yeah.
all those guys, and so the fish are around. I think it's just a matter of if you notice the boats that are catching them are the guys that are out there all the time. And
Well, and I except Remo's not. Remo's a kind of a local weekend warrior, but I will tell you this: he's kind of who I emulated in this whole thing because he caught a ton last year. He trolls very slow. You got to go slow. Slow your boat down. Make sure the baits are swimming okay. You should be going rockfish speed, like you're trolling in the bay for a rockfish. If you've ever done that, if you haven't, if you're going more than 5 knots, you're going too fast. You're gonna decrease your your hookups tenfold by going too fast. These fish they're not yellowfins. They're not gonna come up on your transom and crush everything. And aggressively, they're usually little slower bites. They're not very aggressive bites, so they're not coming after your bait. They're kind of probably just tracking it down and hitting it,
And not to say that they won't hit a side tracker or a spreader bar, but that's not what we've been seeing.
No,
you're running 4 rods.
That's the only thing I can attribute really to the days I haven't gotten skunked is I haven't gotten good ballyhoo, and I think that getting nice sized ballyhoo. Nothing crazy. I mean, horse work, right? Horse work, but I mean, you really want like some good sized medium ballyhoo, because they, in my opinion, they present the best with the heads that we're running. So I mean, those small ballyhoo just don't run on those hooks the size hooks you need to run very effectively or well. So I those small ballyhoo, you might as well run the plastic at that point. So.
Right. And that's another thing people were asking about the heads, 3 ounce, 5 ounce, 8 ounce, they're all catching.
Yeah.
Colors, they're all different colors.
We got bit yesterday, we got bit on a 3 ounce way back. We had that running straight down the middle way back. And then a Captain America. Both were Magicous, but it was a black and purple 3 ounce and then a heavy Captain America Magicou. Had the bites yesterday, and that was on the long rigger. So that was 200 yards. When we put the long riggers out, it's 200 yards. The long line was a little further out, but that was what our bites came on yesterday.
Working the structure.
Yeah,
Staying away from the boats.
Yeah, I was on the next lump outside the jack spot on the east side of that. There's like a little canyon structure area that I found on avionics, and I was like, I bet the fish are out there if they're at the jack spot. And they were. They're everywhere. So just. I guess if some of you guys like trolling around each other all day and having to watch where you're going and not be able to work the structure you want to work and worry about tangling your lines and worry about running somebody else's lines over, getting line out of your prop or, that's and that, then yeah, go troll on the small jack spot lump with 100 other boats and come back to me and say, oh, I didn't catch any, but I watched somebody catch one. Well, there's fish there. There's still a Stevie Wonder tuna there that's going to come up and eat somebody's bait at some point, but it's not going to be the norm. You're not going to have like everybody talking, oh, I'm crushing, you're crushing, we're all getting bit. That is only going to happen if everybody spreads out. And that's just my best advice is slow down and spread out. Everyone is going to catch more fish that way.
And you can't always be totally alone. But, we're not just talking a dozen boats. There was like 75 boats at Jack Spot the other day. And when it's that stacked on top of each other, yeah, you're like you said
everyone's
earlier,
running
your
way
odds
back.
are just so low.
You can't bluefin fish like that, man.
Up and running over.
Yellowfin fishing's a little different. You run your spread close. I don't have anything out more than 50, 60 yards on yellowfin fishing. 100 yards tops. But this is a completely different fishery. Slower, longer back, deeper down. Yellowfins, I troll the boat almost twice the speed as I do bluefin. I troll at 8 knots, 9 knots, sometimes yellowfin fishing. I'm doing half of that right now.
And if people realize, or if they only knew, like you said, those fish are everywhere. They just want to go where they heard they're catching or being caught, whether it was yesterday, today, whatever. And I get that thought.
Confidence as a fisherman. Yeah, I get it. It's like running our favorite jig heads and lures versus trying a new bait. We're going to be like, man, we're just going to be not confident. You're not going to be confident. Exactly. You're doing it right. You're, whatever. But
like you said, it's
confident.
Perfect. pick a lump near jack spot, because you know if they're there, they're going to be nearby. Pick something in the same depth or nearby, you know, whether it's a lump just inside the jack spot or just outside or just north of jack spot or just south of jack spot. That's fine most of the time.
100%. I mean, I'm convinced right now that with the conditions that we got and the amount of bait that we have, that these fish are all over the place.
I think they're going to push in even closer in the next couple of weeks. I wouldn't be surprised if you see more boats catching them at bass grounds and the traditional areas we were fishing last winter. Whether it's, you know, Fenwick Shoal, just all the closer in spots and some of the ones in between. I wouldn't be surprised if, and I've heard people were still fishing African Queen.
Mm-hmm.
And I would be
well, I mean,
surprised
I got that big, the 200 pounder I got was at Great Eastern, and that 100 pounder I got, or 100 pounds, probably 80 pounds, was at the Twin Rex. Not right on the Twin Rex, but if you look around the Twin Rex, you can find some pretty good structure. And when I mean structure, not the actual wreck itself, but I mean hills, up and down. That's what you want to see.
Steep drop-offs,
steep
cliffs,
drop-offs.
all that stuff.
Look around the Twin Rex. There's some nice drop-offs in that area. And I worked that and was by myself and I got bit. And I was marking them. I used my finder. And that's another thing I want to tell people real quick. If you're not marking, if you're unsure, if you're marking anything, play with your gain. Turn your gain up so you see everything in the water at that point. When you have your gain all the way up, you're going to see everything. So if you're hesitant to see what you're looking at, you're not sure what you're looking at, turn your gain up a little bit, and you'll really start to be able to identify the difference in things, whether it's bait or a fish, or if you're not marking anything, you know.
And that might be a video too in the future we could do, is, you know, a video about the fish finder and how we use it out there.
Yeah.
Like the next time we're really marking them good. Like the last few trips, we had some crazy marks, and even the day we didn't catch, you know, that's nice. It's another confidence thing. It's nice seeing those marks on the screen, especially if you do happen to get a bite while the marks are on the screen. It's nice in your head knowing they're there. Right. But, you know, we've gotten plenty of bites with nothing on the screen.
No, I mean, I've gotten, a lot of the bites have been blind bites, but I will say that I keep working the area that I've been marking the fish and the bait. And then maybe I make another circle, and on this circle I don't mark any fish or mark any bait, but I get bit. They're still cruising around that area.
And you were using it also for the contour purposes too, or that one, we found that ledge the one day, and we didn't catch for whatever reason, but this bait and what looked to be tuna were stacked on that ledge. And
man, it was so cool. You could like see the current like pushing this bait up off like this ledge, like up above the ledge onto the lump, and like the bait was staying above the bottom on the lump, like it was like mid-column suspended on the lump, and then the tuna were sitting like right behind them waiting for them to come up over it. It was like you could tell. It was like one of the pictures are worth 1,000 words kind of thing. Like you could tell so much from that shot on your sonar. It was pretty cool. But yeah, I mean, they're there in numbers. Not quite the amount I think we saw last fall, because I feel like when we were rolling up to Isle of Wight last year around this time, they were boiling everywhere.
Well, I was just going to say, it was November 14th. So after this blow, it's going to blow and be nasty today, tomorrow. It's probably still going to be sloppy Wednesday, maybe doable for some boats. So Thursday is looking like the next guaranteed going to be good day to get out and fish. It could change with the weather, but I'll be curious to see. That's going to be lining up with the 14th of November. That was the date we went last year and first saw them and found them. So who knows? Maybe they'll be thick and airing out.
I mean, that's kind of what I'm thinking. Maybe like that they've always ran along that 20 line, like the locals, the old timers have always told us. But maybe now, I've heard from different scientists that study this stuff that they say that fish all over the East Coast, and maybe the world, I'm not positive about that, but I know that fish are pushing in closer to shore all over the East Coast. So it's not just tuna, it's all different species of fish that are pushing closer to the beach than they historically have. And that's been proven. That's not like me just talking crap. That's actually like a scientist that does this every day for a living saying this.
And it's interesting too, you know, just looking at all that stuff, whether it's the Gulf Stream maybe pushing them in, or it could be something that we're doing like man-made, whether it's windmills or whatever else, commercial fishery or omega, you know, there's all kind of different things that could be causing it. But you see it with the striped bass, you see it with the bait, you see it now with the bluefin.
I think it could be too, just like like
It
the
could be
water
Mother
levels
Nature.
changing.
Yeah,
you know
yeah.
what I mean? Like
Yeah.
like the water on this planet doesn't stay, oh, it's always going to be zero. It's going to go up and down, you know? So I feel like if you just look at this from 30,000 feet and you had to take a guess, my guess would be that the water level's changing in some respect, because there's people talk about global warming, whatever, all that crap, but I do think the water level fluctuates based on the warmth and cold of the globe, because that temperature fluctuates as well.
Mm-hmm.
So things don't stay the same always. So fish are going to change their patterns, here and there. And
Yeah, and like it's kind of like we were saying last time with Mother Nature's just doing a cycle. Every so often, whether it's every 20 years or 50 years or 100 years, and it's just that warming or cooling period. And just like you said,
I think
that's a good observation. Maybe the water levels, when it's a warm period, they're a little bit higher, or when it's a cold period, they're a little bit
you know what I mean? Like the water's pushing. If there's more water on the planet, of course, fish are going to use that water. They're not just going to not use the new water that they,
Exactly.
I don't know if that makes sense to you guys, but it does to me. Like if water levels are rising, it's new water found to fish. So
yeah,
they're going to use it.
Exactly, like unexplored land or something.
Right. It's like, the stripers we saw this fall. We had historically high fall tides down here for a long time, and the fish were using it. They were going up as far as they could, areas that were dry. Taylor and I have walked on our feet in areas where fish were swimming. So it's happening before our eyes, maybe just on a smaller scale, But
But we're stoked to get back out there.
I'm going to try soon. Yeah.
Wednesday or Thursday.
Yeah, that's the next opportunity, it looks like. Possibly Wednesday, like you said. But yeah, we're thank you guys for supporting us so far, and we got a lot of interesting, fun stuff. We're gonna be recording ourselves this whole fall doing this bluefin stuff.
And leave us a comment down below.
Yeah.
Thanks for all the feedback on the videos. Subscribe if you haven't yet.
Please,
it really helps
that's how
us
it
out.
helps us. We really would love you guys, if you like our videos, to subscribe. It's really gonna help us make more, bring you guys content.
And gets our video in the algorithm. And comment down below if you're liking these video reports, or if there's something you want to see, or you have questions, anything like that. I try and respond to all the comments. So leave us a comment, and we'll see you for next week's weekly report.
Hope you guys enjoyed. Thanks.